Good evening all. Turn down multiple audio sources. So welcome to the BATC Q100 Net on this warm evening. Yeah, I was just holding the channel with the low power. That was the idea. Funnily enough, my PA, as it gets hotter, has less power rather than more. It's a long time since I've had to warm the valves up. We'll start tonight with Rob M0DTS, just to give you some warning, Rob. So far, I have Rob, followed by John G7JTT, Martin G4FKK, Noel G8GTZ, Jim G7NTG, Colin G4KLB, and Richard GI4DOH. It strikes me I'm missing somebody there who I've seen on. I think G0DQH is probably there somewhere, but not sure I've seen him on the chat recently. Okay. Preparation this week mainly for the contest. Don't forget the contest starts at 1 o'clock UK local on Saturday and goes through to 7 o'clock UK local on Sunday. Yeah, I'm not sure how I left you off the list as well, Mike, but my apologies. Jim and Mike on the end then. The other thing, as you will have seen in the email that went out from BATC today, is we're running a 5.6 gig cumulative from now until the end of the year. It's web-based, so every time you go out portable or have a 5.6 gig content, please chuck it on there and we'll just keep track of activity on there and a couple of awards at the end of the year. Last thing that's going on is it's the deadline for CQTV on Monday, so if you've got any articles, please get them in. Right. What email? Oh yes, says Mike. Oh, I'm glad you've got it. Oh, yeah, had me worried there. Let's go straight round to Rob M0DTS to take it while I type up the list. It'll be John afterwards, G8GKQ and the BATC Net.
Right, oh, not even a test card tonight. I'm not organised, am I? That's no good. Right, a bit of audio on there. Okay. Right, let's just mute my own receiver. Yeah, out of sync. Yeah, evening everyone. And thanks for all the updates, Dave. Yeah, I've been doing a little bit of prep for the contest. Don't tend to need to do much these days, but the main thing I've been playing around with is just checking what there is still sort of working. Well, not equipment wise, but cables and things. And I've had cables in the van over 8 years using Westflex 103. And they're coiled up and uncoiled every single time I go out, and finally they've just about given in, so today I've been replacing them. I've had one length of WF 100, which WF 100? No, HDF 400, sorry. It's like an LMR 400 equivalent. And that's been in use the same time as the Westflex and has lost nothing. It's exact identical loss to what it was like 8 years ago, so I'm converting everything over to HDF 400. So that's been today's job. The little nano VNA has been coming in really handy. Got N-type adapters on and things at the moment, but that's been really handy for checking things. Some of the Westflex was up to 20 dB loss at 3.4 gigs. So the one cable, I had about a 5 meter long cable that I used on 3.4 gigs last year, and it had 10 dB of loss, and I was wondering why I wasn't being received very well. So there we go. Other things, I've still been playing around with the noise cancelling. That's now temporarily in a box over there. I haven't done a great deal with it, but there's a box there with a couple of dials and the little screen on the front just for indication, and it remembers where it is now on the phase and level settings. That's doing okay. I've just got another test board here that I've got bits connected to that I'm just checking isolation of regular, like the G5V type relays. I can get about 30 dB of isolation up to 6 meters and about 25 to 30 dB at 2 meters, so they're not actually that bad considering. So trying to avoid other relays. Playing around with that. Anything else? Just making a couple of brackets and things for antennas, just little bits and pieces, but it's been a bit too hot in the shed to do a great deal. In the workshop, that is. So there we are. So I think that's it for this one. Speak up. Ah, okay. I'm gonna be a little bit quiet. I'll put the 10 dB of extra gain on the USB mic. Oh, sorry. I did do. I didn't save it. Right, there we go. That's probably a bit better. I'll remember that for the next time. For some reason, it hasn't saved that value. Right. So we are round 2 John, G7JTT M0DTS on BATC Net.
No, and thanks, Rob. It's quite interesting to see the difference between the north and south divide, I guess. Rob's fairly white, I'm fairly red from being out on delivery today. Anyway, that's Ian or say we've still had cloud when the eclipse happened. For literally 1 or 2 seconds, the cloud broke. I saw it, but by the time I got the camera, I just about got a picture, but nothing worth looking at. And of course, the rest of the day, it's been clear, blue, cloudless sky, so typical. But anyway, right, a couple of things to show. For that, I'm going to need to go over to a different camera, so I do hope this will work. Right. For those of us that use cars and have things all over the front seats, etc., this may be an option. It's one of these sort of old people's invalid type, sort of hospitalised type people's chairs, tables, sorry, that goes over the bed, so you kind of can slide it out. What I've actually done, easily, I've taken the wheels off effectively, so it sits without anything. You can adjust it, as you can see at the back there. And my original plan was to turn it around and cut the feet there, without my foot being shot, to make it sit in the front seat well. But it just so happens that the gap between the 2 legs, or 2 feet at the bottom, fit perfectly in the gap underneath the chair, so it goes in absolutely ideal, and it gives me this lovely little table which goes above the chair, and a nice flat level surface. And one of the other things you can do, you can actually tilt it that way as well. So if you want, you can actually have it tilted up a little bit so that things are better seen or whatever, for whatever reason. And if you're not using it inside, you can always use it outside as well. So anyway, that was that. Let me go back to the other camera. Move. I've got a couple of things. One of these AV to HDMI converter things, the ones that takes the composite in and chucks HDMI out. And I blew it up, basically. I don't quite know how, but it worked perfectly, and it just stopped working. Sound goes through, but no video. So I've got another one, and the idea is that it allows you, because it up converts, it gives you the 1080p. It gives you a slightly better picture than you get from the EasyCat. And then all I was going to use is the HDMI capture card to get it into the. So it's a bit of a long way around of doing it. But anyway, they're cheap enough. I think I paid £3 for the AV to HDMI, and about £6 or £7 for the HDMI capture card. So that might be an alternative for getting stuff into the PC, not necessarily the ports down. The other thing I got recently was this nice big 50 watt attenuator, 20 dB. Very nice, seems to work very well. And that now goes on with my power meter thing I bought some while back. So I've now got 50 dB of attenuation, 30 dB up to 2 watts, and then the extra 20 with the 50 watts. So I can now measure up to 100 watts quite easily. And it seems to be fairly accurate, especially when you set the dB scale up right, rather than forgetting to add the 50 dB as opposed to 30 dB. So that was that. And then lastly, I've had an idea. With all the bits and pieces we were doing on lights, LEDs a few months back now, before Christmas. One of the things Jim gave me a couple of months back now was one of these gigabit 1000 base T to 1000 base X. So it's got the full-blown transceiver in there. I'm wondering if we can use one of these to perhaps play lightweights. Anyway, so that's another project to put up on the shelf. So that's probably about it. Sunday, I'm absolutely trying my hardest to get out Sunday morning. It will be mid-morning, so my day on a Sunday starts around about 5:30. I'm back I then go to Eastleigh Mail Centre. I then go from there to Eastleigh Delivery Office, and then from there I end up back at Tottenham, where I'm normally based, by about 8:30, 9 o'clock-ish. By the time I sort stuff out there, I'm hoping I might be able to skive off between about 10 and 11 o'clock for an hour or so. I'm already have the 23 cents with me, and it'll only be the 10 watts or so. But all being well, I'm going to delegate the work to someone else to do, and I'm going to go skiving for a while. Right, with that, round to Martin. I should have written the call side down. G4FKK, G7 JTC the group.
Well, that's a good start. It's working. G7JTT, G4FKK. Thanks, John. And good evening to everyone on the net. Sorry, I'm in the gloom again. I'm not sure if my headset lead is long enough to get to the light switch. Anyway, yeah, everyone so far has been a good signal. I think it got to very nearly 28 here today, Dave. So I was tempted to drive up north, Rob, if you've only got 22 up there. I'm not very good in the hot weather, but I'm not very good in any weather really, but there we go. Dave, I won't be going out anywhere this weekend for the contest, but I shall be available for pointing aerials at various locations if required, so that'll be okay. Rob, your noise canceller is beginning to look very very tasty, so clearly you've not been doing anything this week as well. And John, I noticed you got CW up on the wall, so we're going to do a bit of CW soon. That'll be good. I like your car seat bench. That's a good idea. And the 20 dB 50 watt attenuator looks very, very swish. Actually, I ought to have a look at this. 1, 2, testing. I'm running Dominique's new GUI for generating the stream. It's H.264 at the moment, but I've discovered I can actually, using the software encoder of his thing, his version of FFmpeg, I can make it do H.265, but to no evident benefit as far as I can see. But interesting, and it seems to work. But I've had to add about 750 milliseconds of audio. Well, it's, in fact, audio advance, it would appear, to get it anywhere near lip synced, and I don't think it's spot on now. Anyway, I've been playing on HV today. Is Noel on today? Yes, Noel's on. I had to reboot it twice today, so I don't know if it's the hot weather upsetting it, but I had a nice chat with Roger, G8 8. Yeah. Right, that's enough waffling from me. So it is, well, fun enough, round to you, Noel. G8GTZ, G4FKK.
Evening all. Good to see you all on. Look, evening all. Didn't want him saying anything. Right. Last things first. Yes. Yes, I am, and yes, the reboot on HV is getting more regular. I think I had to do it twice yesterday. Once this wretched weekend is out of the way, I do intend to get up there, and I'll probably replace the Pi and the SD card on the streaming. The 3.4 gig transmitter, in case Roger is watching, he sent me an email. It's kind of ready, but the beacon isn't ready, and I'm almost tempted to just put it back anyway. But yes, Roger, I realise I've been a reluctant repeater keeper. This radio stuff gets in the way. Colin was saying he gets overtime on Sundays. Unfortunately, I don't. I don't get paid extra on Sundays. Yeah, sorry, I see you're on the chat, Rod. Yes, 3.4 gigs. We've got the combiner. So you remember we had the problems with doing the mix and the nasty sproggy that appeared if we combined the beacon and the TV repeater. They're 7 megs apart, and the sproggy appeared 7 megs up. We've determined that the way to get around that is actually to mix using one of the mainline mixers after the PA, so you're just combining the two RFs. We've got the combiner. It's a bit big, but I think I can make it go in the box. The TV transmitter transmitter is finished. The beacon transmitter isn't. Actually, I don't know if anybody's got any ideas. We need a 1 or 2 watt narrowband 3.4 gig PA. If anybody's got any ideas. So there we go. What else? What's been happening this week? Contest prep. I don't think I've ever done so much. The big box is finished, which is good. Actually, the shakedown last weekend was very useful. So the all-seeing box, which is there, which is what I'm using. Using it now. That's finished. But the shakedown sort of proved one thing, that noise is a real issue. When you're running Raspberry Pi type devices, the radiation is horrendous, and so much so it was just killing 750 at times. So the big box I have now pretty much made very quiet. I did also have another problem I had to fix, because I now run two 12-volt batteries, invert them, or and then use an inverter to come back down to so two 12 volts giving me 24 volts. I convert that back down to 12 volts in the inverter, and that was horrendous. That got fixed by putting it, I ripped the whole thing to pieces, put it in a Dicor box, bought some big feed throughs, and that is quiet. The big box there is now quiet. The big issue I found on that one was that the USB sockets on the Raspberry Pi, the metal surroundings, needed well and truly earthing, and then just general housekeeping. The one I've really got a problem with, yes I have, is this one. You don't want a guffaw at my expense. So this is the narrowband driver, which you see the back of it. That's got the narrowband driver which I'll be using to drive the narrowband transverters, and that's got a Pi in a plastic case on a screen, and that is horrendous. I'm not sure what I'm going to do about that. Anyway, I was playing with it today, and I thought, oh, I wonder if it is the inverter. Not much to see really. You can see it's in bits, and there's a reason. I wonder whether it's the inverter or the Pi itself. So I stuck the bench power supply on the input to the Pi. The only thing I forgot was that Pis don't run off 12 volts, do they? God, there was a smell. So that knackered it broke my Pi 4. So I've yes, I think it got worse than that, because the only place I could get one quickly enough was Amazon, and they'd only got 8 gig versions. So it's 60 quid up my shirt, and I've still got an RFI problem. It's horrendous. I'm not sure how I'm going to quieten that down. The only thing I'm wondering is, yes, it did go bang, and I got the magnifying glass out, and the USB chip had got a hole in the middle of it which wasn't supposed to be there. Yeah, 58 quid off Amazon for, I think it was an 8 gig, so probably wasn't too bad. These cases here, this is my Ryde. That seems fairly quiet despite having an eBay inverter on the top. So I'm probably going to have to do something, possibly after the weekend, to modify that plastic screen case and put an aluminium case around it. Anyway, that's all my woes and tales, and I feel exhausted before the contest starts. So I'll pass it round to whoever's next, and I never did bother to check. In TG, round to you, Jim. But don't forget, everybody, get on the air this weekend. Gee,
Right, let's just make sure it works. Have I got sound? Right, let's just make sure it works. I think I've got sound, hope so. Yeah, evening all. Haven't been on for a little while. Been tied up with various things. But yeah, I'd had to paint my dish because it was starting to show patches of rust. It was only a cheap 1.8 metre dish, and it was badly painted, so big areas of rust were showing on it. So I bit the bullet and bought some rust preventer paint from Lidl, and I've heard lots of stories about people painting dishes and getting big reductions in signals. So I just went for it, gave it a good liberal coat of this paint that's supposed to be able to paint straight onto rust and stop it spreading. It's supposed to halt it completely. Not sure of the chemistry involved, but gave it a good thick coat and left it a couple of days, and then checked the no difference whatsoever. It made no difference to the MER of the beacon, so the beacon is still as good as it was. So yes, that's a good paint you can use. And I also did some tests on this bit of kit, and I don't know whether you can see what it is. I think you
probably can. Yes, not a bad picture. It's an old AOR receiver, one of the really early ones, and it is actually the best receiver I've got on HF. It's absolutely amazing. So whatever technology they used then is absolutely brilliant. No wonder they still fetch good money, although you can get one of these for about 100 quid. I don't think I paid much. I don't think I paid more than that. I think I paid about that for this a few years back. But highly recommended. Anything I've had to do is put some new pads on the buttons on the back, little carbon pads. You can buy a little kit with some glue and stick new pads on, and it works a treat. Apart from that, I've been making a few of the power meters, but I don't want to bore you with that, so that's probably about it. I don't think I'm going to be able to get on the competition this weekend because of family commitments, but anyway, so I shall pass it round to Colin. So G4KLB from G7NTG with the group.
G7NTG, G4KLB. Yes, thank you very much. Okay, let's get that one done. There we go. Oh dear. I got to get used to this OBS lark. It should be a lot easier, shouldn't it, really? But never mind. Just making it hard work. I'm just a bit short of space really on the desktop, because I've got all these things on there at the moment. I've got two of those screens and everything else. But there we are. We'll get another screen sorted out at some point. Right, well, I did the shakedown test. I didn't expect to be able to come on for the contest this weekend because I was meant to work, but I've managed to persuade somebody else to do my 2 days, so I can come out this time, which is very good, although it took me 4 days to prepare for the shakedown test, which went very well and did find numerous faults. It's the first time that big ports down that I built some time ago had never made it to the van or had any proper testing, and I did have a couple of errors on that. And when I went out, I had a further error, which was on the mini tune. That turned out to be an F plug that had a socket that's a center pin that's soldered on, but had actually retired and made contact when it was in the shack, but didn't when it was in the van. So I've addressed those issues, so that's good. I had a couple of mishaps really. I went out with mini tuner S's. I took as a backup. I took a couple of S's, and the laptop I had didn't have the software on it to get the LMB bolts to work. So that was the thing. But I've addressed that issue as well now. So we've upgraded all of that so the backups will work. There's a standard mini tune V2 inside the ports down box, which is what I use, but I was going to use the B port on the front because it was convenient at the time, but I couldn't get any LMB bolts out of it, but that was because it wasn't connected. Fortunately it did work on the back, so that was okay. So we got there in the end. But from having 3 mini tuners, I was down to half a one. But I've sorted that out now, so that's good. So potentially I'd be able to monitor more than one band at a time, although that seems like hard work. So I've been now trying to get ready for this weekend. It was a bit of a last minute call really, So I'm proposing, I should say where I'm going really, I haven't put anything on the chat even yet because I wasn't sure. I'm proposing to go to Lulworth on the Saturday. I've seen that Dave GKQ is going there on the Sunday, so I should probably avoid that. Otherwise we might interfere with each other, I'm not sure. So I might head to Win Hill or something. Win Green. I might head up there. I've not actually ever been up there. I've seen it a few times, but I've never been right up the top before. I've been on a lay-by not too far from there, but I've never actually been up the top. So we're going to give that a go, possibly. And if I don't know if I'll get up there or not, but we'll have a go. So it should be okay. I'm not so bothered about winning the contest. I won't win it anyway. But I'm not doing sufficient bands really. I'm not taking any low frequency stuff this time. It's just too many aerials to manage, really. It's just too much. I'm not really ready. That's the trouble. I've rushed home every day. When I was out on the shakedown test we did, then I made a list. I made a list of things that I needed to do, and I've done most of the important ones. I'm still short of a few. I'm short of a driver, but I can share the driver with another band. But I thought I was going to be able to get all this done before I went out again, but the opportunity has presented itself, so we're going for it. So it's going to be more or less as it was. I'm hoping that I'll have a chance to make up some more SMA cables, because I ended up with one of the cables being daisy chained, like I had to join 3 short ones together, which I didn't really like, but it was it was desperate measures really. I thought I had enough cables, but the new location for the Portsdown has meant that it's worked out a little bit different. But anyway, that doesn't matter. I'm quite pleased to have it finally in the box. I could have shown you pictures, except my phone battery went flat on me just before I come on air earlier. so it's on charge now. This will probably be the only one for this evening, because I've been going on long enough now. So I'll have a quick look on the chat and see. Right, okay. Yeah, if I could do what I did last time, I don't know if we'll get even that much done, because we did get through quite a bit of work actually. Then that will be more than sufficient. As Noel has said, he's encouraging everybody to try and have at least one QSO, even if you're not a contest type person, and submit an entry just to demonstrate that the bands are being used. I think he said 23 SEMS was of particular interest, but all of them really. And so I'll be pleased to be able to do that. I shall more or less be just going out to enjoy myself, rather than get too het up with contests. Although obviously I won't want to delay people who are seeking maximum points, so sometimes I'll just have to sit there and wait, but I don't mind that. It can get a bit hectic actually. I took a load of food and drink with me last time and hardly got to actually stop to eat or drink anything really. Hopefully I've managed to get the aerial rigging down. So the first attempt took 3 hours to rig the aerials. 3 hours, utterly ridiculous. Down to an hour and a half, which is still horrendous, but I'm working on it. Anyway, that'll be all from me this evening. Looks like the freshly painted dish is still doing the business, so that's all right. Okay then, it's now round 2 GI4 DOH to take it. This station G4KLB. I keep wanting to push different.
G4 KLB with the group GI4DOH. Yeah, just checking that on there. Good evening all. I missed the last couple of weeks. I think it was the RSGB 80 metre club championship CW a couple of weeks ago, and then our monthly club meeting last week. But nice to get along tonight. Unlike the rest of you, enjoying all this wonderful weather. It's been pretty overcast here. I think the temperature has been around 20 degrees today, which is warm for this country. And the fact that I've got the HF rig on the shack, the ATV stuff, means that it's relatively warm here. Of course, the curtains are closed because I've got a window directly behind me. And yes, as Martin said, John, I thought that looked like CW I saw on the screen there. That's something I do play around with, and seen the comments on 6 meters there on the screen. Certainly one of the DX groups, there were witterings about nobody's using CW on 6 meters nowadays because of FT8, but I would think that when I had a session a few days ago with EU stations, that I was picking them off in CW faster than you would do on FT8. They get bored after a while with the same old countries, but I did get one token stateside station, so I can say that I worked across the Atlantic this year, and try again next year. What else have I got there? Noel, you commented on noise there. I actually noticed earlier that when I switched on my Ryde receiver, that the noise level shot up on 20 meters by about an S point. My cobweb that I use for the higher bands is a few feet above me here, and the next thing is to try with clip-on ferrites of various shapes and sizes to see. I assume so boxes don't radiate, so it's getting out from leads, and could well be quite a lot of 12 volts for sort of leads all around the place between different little blocks and the rest. And Jim talking about rust on the dish. What's worked for me in the past with going straight onto rust is hammerite, but I don't know how that might affect one way or the other the workings of a dish, in that it does tend to give a hammerite type finish, so it's not that even. So I don't know whether that's good, bad, or indifferent. And Colin, you had shown there at the start, find my desktop view and go over to this. Over the last few days, I have actually built finally a Winterhill receiver, and it's working. I'm pleased to say. I did get caught out. Colin, you were talking about leads and the rest. This little lead set me back a bit on the second NIM. The problem was the lead was dodgy, and nothing wrong with the board. It's worked first time. It was a challenge, mind you. Mike NJW, the little inductor on the LNB power board is a bit of a challenge that took the heated plate and the hot air to do that. I just think actually might have some pictures of the unit. I have benefited from building the Apologies, guys. I clicked on the wrong thing there. I'm new to this game. I was actually trying to step through the slides. I'm making a mess of it. The little 3D printed bezels that I did for the Ryde have worked equally well for the winter hill. That's actually looking at the underside of the box. I did use different feet to the ones that came with the Hammond box, to use thicker ones to allow room for air to get in under the vents there. So it all went swimmingly. There's a bit of metal work and all the rest, but again, the same bezel for the front panel that I used before, and then getting an HDMI lead. I am using the thing headless, so I don't really need the HDMI connection, but it's there. It's better than having to open the box to plug one in. So I think that's it. If I can get back to, so I'm new to this game. I need to spend a bit of time practicing offline with these. As far as the contest is concerned, I'm not really geared up for it. I might see if I can rig something up in the back garden, because technically I should have a relatively clear view apart from one line of houses across the Irish Sea, and I don't know if anybody else will be operating locally. I'm not aware of anybody doing that. So that's about it for me for this round. I'll pass it on to James, G0DQH with the group. This is GI4DOH.
Okay, just check the audio. Yep, fine. Thank you, Richard. Hope everything's okay with you. Yeah, about your dish, Jim. I've actually got an aluminium dish, so I don't have that rust problem. And this is my dish just coming up. Hopefully, perhaps if I press that button, it might be. So one or two places the paint is beginning to peel, but the worst problem is bird nests from the tree. They sit in the tree, and then I have to go out and clean the dish about once a week or a fortnight. But there it is. That gives you an idea of the thickness of the TX cable I'm using. And I'll go back to the other, if I can find it. Yeah, there we go. That's the other picture of the dish. As you can see, it's very close to the trees. And there's a crabapple tree at the bottom of the garden. So all the pigeons congregate around there in the autumn, so there's never any fruit left. So there you go. The other thing I wanted to mention, and get back onto the right camera, is if you're considering buying a lead from far off places, where are we? We need the other. I need the other camera. There we go. I don't know whether you can actually see this, but I bought a lead this week. It had arrived, and luckily I checked it out, because this is the lead that came with the 290, and it's correct, positive to ground. Now the lead that arrived didn't have positive to ground, and I had to resolder it. So
Those of you who've got 290s will know that anyway, but anyone who hasn't, be cautious. And I'm not going to be here next week, by the way. I should be elsewhere. And the 290 hopefully will keep us in touch when we're going on the motorway on Sunday morning. So, where are we? So that's really all I needed to mention tonight. I won't be back for the second round, if you don't mind, and I'll see you maybe in a fortnight's time. This is who's next? G8CKQ in the group, G0DQH in the group.
Right, I was hoping it was me rather than Dave, G8GKQ, but I don't think we're jamming each other, so I think Dave probably thought the same. Good evening, everyone. Not got really very much to say today or to show, but I liked your bench solution. I've got something similar in the Land Rover now for extending the operating area for when we do VHF Field Day, but of course we didn't do it last year after all of that was all ready to work. It was done the year before, but I wasn't there. I was in Berlin when Field Day was taking part, so missed that. Yeah, I thought I saw, James, under your self-amalgamating tape at the end of your LDF 550 or 450, what looked like an adapter to a BNC and then a very thin piece of coax to the feed. So I assume that's not what it was, but if it was, I didn't realise that coax could take that amount of power. Maybe it can, maybe it can't, I don't know. But nice dish. I have a similar sort of dish. It's a 2.4 metre and it's sunk into the ground in concrete with a 6 3/4 inch pole, and with the wind that we had a few weeks ago, you sort of need that, certainly stop it moving. Right, solid copper. Okay. Yeah, Martin, the GUI was working okay. I think H265 you'll really see a big difference when you're looking at lower symbol rates or higher levels of FEC. That's where that really makes a difference. And no, with HV being so sensitive now, so that even I can get into it, we could do with being able to receive it as well. I don't think I'll ever be able to receive it on 3.4 gigahertz though, so perhaps we can get it to transmit on some other band. Oh no, that's going to be difficult, isn't it? But yeah, good to have it on the internet, but I suppose it needs a bit of work for the reliability side of things. On 3.4 gigahertz though, those PAs that were around 3 years ago, I think I got 2 for $5 at one point. The stealth microwave ones, the 20-watt ones, they were really common, so there must be loads of nodes of them lying around somewhere. The problem with those is they're not very efficient, so they might not be what you want for the repeater. There were some earlier ones, some HP ones, which no one wanted to buy because no one understood that they were exactly the same as the other ones, the Toshiba ones, except for they didn't need some special modifying of the power supply. They just ran off 12 volts at 5 amps. I think they were 15 watt 3.4 gigahertz amplifiers. There should be a lot of those about as well. Yes, but 1 watt, 2 watts, a bit more difficult. Not sure how you can get that sort of level of power. RF noise is nearly always the switch mode power supply. It might seem to be coming from the Pi because it's connected to the ground of the Pi, so it conducts it. But getting switch mode power supplies quiet is quite an art, and I've been spending quite a lot of time recently eliminating switch mode power supplies that are noisy around the house. But an experiment last weekend when we had yet another power cut in Harwell, running off a 12 volt car battery. With all of the house off, the noise floor was quite low, and I could gradually increase it by switching things on, but I did discover a few things that were very, very noisy. And Richard, the inductor on the LNB power supply really doesn't need to be as big as the one we specified, I think. Yeah, it is a little bit of a job to get that one on. The trick is not to put it on last, but to put it on first, I think. That might be one of the ways to do it. You could use a smaller one and fit it over the pads. It wouldn't make much of a difference. And you don't need the diode on the back, of course. That's only if you're running it off a different 12 volt supply. All of these things are in the instructions, which have yet to be written. Otherwise, not much else to add. There's nothing on the bench of any interest today. Just a few things I've been messing around with. A Raspberry Pi that arrived today, which I'm going to use for Funcube demodulation. Hello Duncan, if you're watching, it works. Various converters, some BNCs, and an amplifier which claims to be 2 watts, up to 1.3 gigahertz that arrived from eBay. I will let people know if it is or not. And some random bits of small waveguide that I found in a box. I think it's probably 38 gigahertz and probably 76 or 90 gigahertz and maybe some quite low frequencies. I discovered some 24 gigahertz things I'd forgotten I had as well. Anyway, nothing else of interest, so I think I'll pass it on to GKQ. Over to you, Dave. G0MJW.
I got no video. I thought for a moment then I had no video. My apologies. Good. All interesting stuff. Going in reverse order, James. Yeah, 290 power supply sockets. Warning to everybody, be careful if you come near my 290s, because I've reversed all mine so that the outer is negative and the inner is positive, just like everything else in the shack. So all my 290s are modified to be standard. Richard, that Winter Hill looked really neat. Very impressive job. Colin, yeah, your choice of sites sounds good. If you could do Lulworth, Sassay and Wingreen Sunday, that would be more or less the reverse of me, so that would work really well, and really pleased to hear that you're going to be on the contest. Martin, we'll try and point towards you and see if we can catch anything from you. I think it's going to be a bit of a tall order for me down here. Gareth might do a bit better from Butser, I suppose. And John, please give me a call on the by phone when you're set up on Sunday, because I know you won't be able to hang around, but I'll get to you straight away on 23 SEMS, John. So please give me a shout on the mobile phone. I'd like to say good evening to all the watchers. There seem to be quite a lot on the stream, and Don. I know Gareth, Don and Bernie are probably watching off air, and Wolfgang possibly. Roger, Phil, Charles, all sorts of people out there watching on the stream. So good evening to you, all of you. We know you're there. We're talking carefully. My activity this week, like Noel, I've been tracking down RF noise. I found I had over 20 dB of extra noise on 70 SEMS that I could get rid of by careful shielding at the weekend. So I ordered some linear regulators from Radio Spares, hoping they'd arrive on Tuesday, give me plenty of time to sort things out. They still have not arrived. I complained to Radio Spares, they're sending me a second order which might arrive tomorrow, but I'm not sure I'm going to be able to do anything before the contest, which is quite disappointing. Perhaps I should have ordered them to Southampton and gone and collected them. I've been doing some tidying up after the work at the weekend, making some new cables and things like that. Veronica, I'm asking for a noise source. Yeah, all right, Mike. But not much happening on the Portsdown front, just trying to get my contest station in order as well. But it's been a useful exercise, shall we say. I suppose I did do a couple of Portsdown releases, but many people on the net had seen those as dev releases anyway. Okay, let's go round for the second time. Rob to take it, M0DTS and the BATC Net G8GKQ.
Right, we seem to be okay this time. There we go. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, apologies for the audio last time. Let's just check this time and see. Yeah, I've got a good lip sync this time. Yeah, Martin, I had to change. I had on OBS. Hang on. For the sync offset, I had 500 milliseconds before. That must be for the previous setup with the other version of his encoder or FFmpeg control software, so I'm not really sure what that was. But it's really dark there. I'll put a light on now. That's a little bit better. Yeah, it's pretty cloudy here at the moment. So yeah, hopefully lip sync should be on now, but yeah, I'm using the desktop F1 EJP encoder software now. So the only thing I've noticed with it is it doesn't seem to remember my call sign, so I need to mention that on the forum. I don't know whether anyone else has noticed that. So good resolution. It's not that high. What are we running? We're running 1280 by 720, so yeah, them tubs hang around all over the place. They're always handy, you know. But anyway, yeah, we're using the that setup, which seems to work quite nicely, and it works on, what was it down to? 35 kilocymbals, 8 PSK at 5/6 is about the minimum I can get away with low bandwidth, so it doesn't do too bad a job. Not quite low enough for 6 meters really, but it's usable. So yeah, I've got all sorts of stuff laid out on the floor here, just sort of testing. Behind me there's boxes of various separate bands and things like that. Just the main box of gear. That's what I use for the main bit of gear that goes to the van. I use this great big box and just put everything in there. So yeah. It gets a bit heavy when it's full for contest day, but it's not bad. Yeah, I've got to the latest revision of this board that has everything on. I'm trying to get everything on one board, still playing around. It's all kind of a bit experimental, but yeah, the noise, and this is the noise canceller for well, I've kind of run a simulation and it looks like it should work for 6 meters, 4 meters and 2 meters. I should be able to get all them frequencies out of it. But this section down here is the I2C digital analog converter and op amp for generating the voltages for the tuning the attenuator and the phase shifter. Down here there's a relay with a bodge there because I'd got it back to front on the wiring, as you do. Pinouts are never the same as what you may imagine. So there's another relay there that does a 180 degree phase shift off a transformer. There's a pin diode attenuator in the middle, and then there's basically a tunable low pass filter up the top which does the phase shifting part, and then that couples back into the through path on the right hand side here, which I've now changed the board so it's just solder on coaxes, so you can do what you like with the box. So yeah, basically that's everything, all the RF on one, and then you just connect your Arduino, a few pins off the Arduino just down the bottom here, and it can do its own thing. So yeah, and then there's just 2 relays on the top, so not a lot. So yeah, playing around with that. Gonna try and cobble a ports down together in a box temporarily, one of them blue boxes, which some people don't like, but yeah. Yeah, try and do them. Here's a question, right? Interesting one. So I've created 2 new cables, right? These 2 cables here are the 2 23 set. I used 2 23/7 loop Yagis phased together, or combined, should I say, on 23/7s. So the cable length is identical on each, and then there's a 2-way combiner splitter. So the original cable I was using was Westflex, and the loss across this 1 meter, 1 meter of cable was, well, I can't really measure it on this 1 meter of HDF 400. It's probably 0.1. It reads anywhere from 0 to 0.15, so depending on various calibrations on the VNA, but anyway, about 0.1 of a dB. The original cables that were Westflex, which still feel pretty rigid, have got about 0.9 dB loss across them. So you've got 2 antennas, 2 losses of 0.9 dB. Does that overall have a system degradation of 1.8 dB or 0.9 dB? I'm guessing 1.8, but yeah, I would imagine it's 1.8 because you're combining it. But anyway, so I should be 1.8 dB better with this new cable on, or thereabouts. I was trying to think about it and think, well, does that actually work right or not? So is it 1 loss then? Okay. But if you add 2 antennas together, you get nearly 3 dB. So yeah, I don't know. Anyway, half power in each cable, okay, right. Yeah. Anyway, it was an interesting one. Anyway, nigh on a dB of improvement on 23/7s should be had. So that's good. RS, Dave, I had an order. Oh, no, I had Farnell actually. I had Farnell, but I had RS last week, and that was like next day delivery as normal. So we've just messed that up by the sounds of things. Anything else to mention? Trying to think. No, haven't done much else. I think that's about it really. I'm trying to think of anything else to comment on. Dishes and things, no. Yeah, antenna gain, okay. You notice the reduced loss on RX adds to the noise. Yeah, the RX should be better. Anyway, I'm taking both sets of cables with me, so when I'm out portable the weekend, I can initially put it up, line up on a repeater, which is line of sight, take an MER reading, drop the mast, change the cables over, put it back up, and see whether I get a dB of difference. That's going to be quite interesting. The phase difference between the 2 cables was 4 degrees, I think, on the little nano VNA when I measured it, so that's, I can't really grumble at that, that's fine. So I must have got me 1 meter of cable measured from me. Right, well I think that's it for me anyway. So 7-3 all, and yeah, am I back on next week or not? Hang on. Tuesday, Wednesday. Yeah, I'll be back on next week again. So see you then. Round to John again for your second over. And yeah, I like the table. Very handy. 7-3 M0 DTS.
Okay, all right, let me just get rid of some sounds. Yes, CW. When I first got licensed, I met up with some guys that used to belong to the Dolphin Submariners Club down at Gosport, and they were the ones that got me into the ATV at the time, or ATV at the time. Anyway, there was a couple of guys down there that were signalmen, and one of them, I'm trying to think what his call sign was. I'm pretty sure his name was John, but he was phenomenal when it comes to CW, and he would be quite capable of listening to 2 or 3 conversations in CW, plus talk to us in the room as well. And he just, I think, I don't even know what speed he could get up to, but he was proper professional at it. Anyway, there was him and a guy called Ricky, G0SBV, who used to be TV as well. They convinced me to do CW, so I tried and tried and tried. Anyway, I got on with it reasonably well. I got up to above 12 words per minute. Went to, can't remember which rally it was, one of the rallies, and they were doing CW tests on the day. And I bottled it and took to 5 words a minute. So I ended up with 20 AZ for a while. Then that became M5 AZ. Then it was M0 JTT, but I finally got to 12 words a minute. But when all the things changed, I had all these licenses running concurrently, paying for them all when we used to have to pay for them. I decided that I didn't like the M0, so I went back to the G7. I would like to be better at CW. I can certainly just about get most things. No, that's a lie. I can get beacons and things like that. I can just about, if I listen to it enough times, I'll work out a beacon and bits and pieces. So, and I can send reports 5.9 and best 7.3s and stuff like that. So yeah, to me, CW is something I really wish I was better at, but it just didn't click with me. Whereas I say, this guy John, he was phenomenal. He was almost to the point where he could almost read RTTY as well. I know we can all do the RY type thing, but yeah, he was phenomenal. But I'm guessing he needed to be what he used to do. Right, 2 meter noise. Now, this is a very interesting thing for me, because when I went out portable the other week, I got wiped out on 2 meters. So it was absolutely end stop. Nothing I could do. No way I was going to receive anything. It was just flooding up against the stop. Portable, I use a FT 7900, I think it is, one of these dual band 50 watt jobbies. Anyway, 77s work perfect, not an issue. But 2 meters totally wiped out. So I couldn't figure out what it was at the time. I turned everything off, at least I thought I turned everything off, but I was still getting it. Anyway, when I got home, I discovered that there was a bit of a loose lead on the antenna, so I managed to replace that, and that seemed to cure it for a bit. But anyway, I went out again, and same thing, total wipeout on 2 meters, but 77's absolutely fine. So I got an SDR. I built a little loop thing. Where it goes bang, something. Got going to focus. Just a little loop onto a bit of cable, and run it all around and looked at the various different frequencies. I can't see nothing on 2 meters. There's absolutely no difference to the noise. There's no spikes. There's no anything. So then I used my FT897, turned that on, and again, 2 meters is fine, absolutely fine. But I plugged the 7900 in, and it completely wipes it out. So now I'm thinking, is it an IF issue, or is there some other form of mixing going on? Because it basically, the 7900, it just gets completely wiped out by the port stand. So don't know. I've got to spend some more time investigating it. But 77 seems to work fine, but 2 meters, absolutely no way. So that was that. I think that's probably it for me tonight, actually. So I'm going to head off to bed and probably watch the rest of the night, rest of the net from the telly up there whilst getting ready for bed, etc. So 7-3's all. Been a nice evening again. Too hot for me, mind you. It's PA is at 34.7 degrees and the shack is 24 degrees. But I haven't got a proper fan, so Jim gave me a load of fans recently. Let me just turn this stupid filter off. There we go. Right, so I've got all these little snail type ones, and they're actually really good. They're 12 volt, but I'm running them off of 5 volts, so there's enough blow from it that they're working well. So I've got a little tiny one there, and I've got a very large one there. So if there's wind noise, you can probably understand what's going on. What's right something? Yeah, it's something peculiar to the 7900. So that may not be the choice of radio for anybody thinking of using something for portable, maybe. So I may have to look at using one of my other radios for portable use. Right, anyway, round to Martin again there. G4, I should write these things down. I will remember one day. Brain stops working this time. I know it's KKK in there somewhere, KK. Anyway, you know you are. G7 JTT in the group.
Yeah. Okay, John. G4FKK. Well, you say I know who I am. I'm never sure, actually, these days. It's being retired, you see. Anyway, very good, and all very interesting from everyone. And, yeah, John, I had a lot of noise. I can't remember now whether it was from the Ryde, or it must have been from the Ryde. It was before I had the Winter Hill. And it was an HDMI cable in my case. I just changed the HDMI cable and the noise was gone. The silly bang of coax of cables, probably. So it could be that. I don't know what was wrong with the old cable, but it wasn't happy. And yeah, switch mode, power supplies, etc. I being a fan of top band, which is prone to any sort of electrical noise you can think of. It's actually very quiet from my QTH when the power goes off, which it does only rarely, Mike. That there's hardly any noise here at all. But when it comes back on, and even if I leave my house switched off, none of that noise is coming from my house, not on top band anyway. So, which is a bit frustrating, but I've done as best I can on that. Yeah, no pies and 12 volts, they don't get on, do they? I don't know if Jim's still watching, but I hope the painted dish, well, it's obviously working okay. Hope the little rust-proof or rust-preventing paint keeps working. I'm glad the shakedown was useful, Colin. It's amazing what problems get thrown up. And yeah, Richard, I was listening to 4 meters earlier, and there was lots of stuff coming in on FT8. I don't use FT8. I can turn it on so that it comes out of a loudspeaker, and WSJTX decodes it through a microphone, so I could see who was on. But I take a dim view of all that. And the only other station on was a Spanish station on CW, so CW is useful. And well done for doing it, John, especially if you didn't have to at the time. The guy who did my Morse tests was at St Martin's Le Grand back in the 70s. I was practicing, and the headset was really quiet. I couldn't really hear the tone very well, so I was practicing the CW, and I said, I can't hear the bloody tone in Morse. And this guy, who was talking to someone else at the time, read my key clicks and said, well, I'll turn it up then. How do they do that? I think the best I've got up to is about 25 words a minute. Yeah, your Winter Hill looked very nice, Richard. And yeah, I think the other gym's gone as well, but I found this works very well. It's probably advertising, isn't it? But there you go. Autotech Etch Primer. I've never had any paint peel off aluminium after I've used that stuff. Yeah, the lip sync was spot on, Rob, in your case. I don't think it is on mine still. Let's have a look. Rob, in your case, I don't think it is on mine still. Oh, it's not too bad, is it? And that noise canceller, very interesting. If you can 6, 4 and 2, you've got a winner there. Or you should manufacture those, Rob. But let us have the circuit first. Yeah, Mike, I was wondering what those invaders were on the hacker shelf behind you. It all looked very modern. The hacker was looking a bit out of sorts there. And I like the way you say it's all in the instructions which haven't been written yet. So very good. And yeah, I must get a new PC. My son, who's one of these modern IT whiz kids, has given me a spec, and I don't think I need that sort of spec. I will never be a gamer of any sort. But so we're coming to some sort of rational spec. Then I've got to save up for it. Yeah, I modified my FT290 as well, Dave, and luckily I put a big sign on it because the person that bought it off me hadn't realised until he read the sign on the back, so that was lucky. Yeah, I think because you're sharing the power between the two cables, Rob, as everyone says, it'll half the loss that you might expect. Well, I think that's about it, other than on the filters front that people have been discussing. Let me see if I can... I didn't spot the Sony ICF. Well, I did. I didn't know what it was there, Mike. What was I going to do? Oh, yeah, I was going to... yesterday I had to... we have a flat that we let out to people, and the immersion heater, because it hasn't got gas or anything like that, had conked out, so I had to go to a plumber to get a new immersion heater and a tool to remove the old one. And while I was there, I was chatting away to him, and he let me have 3 of these 28mm pipe cap things for free, because I said, had he got any? And he said he was giving me all sorts of things with pre-soldered ones. I said, no, I just want the end cap. I'm not using them to cap anything. So then he asked what I was using them for, and he was so interested. He said, oh, well, you can have some of these. So there you go. So he might be an amateur radio convert at some point. Right, I think Noel's still on, so round to you, Noel. G8 GTZ and the group, and good night, everyone. Thanks, Dave, for running the net. G4 Fox King standing by.
Jolly good. Lost the remote. Good. Okay. Is this the thing to show? I don't know. Is that what we're talking about? I believe they're pie filters. Or are we talking about the 450 cavities? These are... well, they do say J-beam on them. Interesting. I always thought they were pi, but that one's on 4 metres and that one's on 2 metres. They're very nice. There you go. Just something to show. Not much else to say. I think I'll leave it there. Everything all noted. Hope to see a few of you at the weekend, and hopefully RS will not screw up. Amazon won't screw up my order for my pie tomorrow. Okay, right. I'm going to say good night all, and catch you all next week. And it goes to, who does it go to? I can't remember. He went to Jim, but Jim's not there, so therefore it must go to GI4DH. Over to you. Send a cherry pie instead. That wouldn't be much use now.
G8 GTZ with the group GI4DOH. Yeah, I'm here. This lovely thing with the winter hill that you can just use the little wheel on the mouse to turn the volume down, not having to chase around the screen. Brilliant design stuff. You guys are wonderful, and Rob, the quick tune is so quick and easy. After all the messing about in the past with the originally the mini tuner and then the Ryde, this is wonderful. I do like it. Mike, on the inductors, yes, I worked out that it was best to start with putting that inductor on the board. It didn't matter how much heat that I got on. The other type of inductor, I'm not sure whether that will show the Laird inductors, of which I think there are 4 on the Winter Hill. DigiKey, who I did my main list of components from, didn't have any in stock. The only sort of half decent price wise place on eBay only had 2 in stock, so I ordered 2 of those, and I ordered some of another type, which were, I think they were billed as having an impedance of 998 ohms, and these other ones were 835 ohms. Well, in fact, they appear to be the same in that it's a 6-hole ferrite, and the alternative ones that I got didn't have the wire fed through the last hole. So I did actually try measuring the inductance, and the inductances, even with the full number of holes occupied, were not the same. So it may not have been the same type of ferrite, but as you say, with these things, they're not overly critical. That maybe not optimal, but certainly doing a job. And while I was waiting for those, I just had wire links in place of the inductors anyway. And Dave, on the thanks for the neatness. Well, the neatness is in the bezel and not in the ragged hole underneath. And while I was at it, what had annoyed me since I first built my mini tuner, I've now got a little bezel for the recessed USB thing. I'm much happier having that facing me, and of course one thing leads to another. Having got all the bits for the Winter Hill, I'm now geared up to build a knocker as well, so I've sort of gone on a little construction drive. All good fun. And again, Rob, what you were saying about cables is a reminder in my striving to get portable and the rest. I need to start looking at the cables that I'm going to use to interconnect things be somewhat different to what I would use in the shack. And John and CW, well, they say no pain, no gain, and I spent a long time working at CW speed to get up to contest type grade. In fact, I went exclusively CW for a number of years and tried to have about 1,000 QSOs a month as a target to do that. So I can't ride chew anyway, but I can do 599 or 5NN at quite a speed when I need to. So I see no point in trying to ride chew in CW when you got a microphone, albeit I haven't got a microphone plugged into the rig. And of course, I think it was Martin pointed out some weeks ago that the GI prefix does effectively give me an extra couple of S points, and that helps get the callers in. And also, John, on the fans, I note that the 12-volt fan in my winter hill is nice and quiet, whereas an equally sized one in my Ryde is anything but quiet. So I need to take a look in the Ryde and find out what the difference is, and maybe order up another one of the ones that is in the winter hill just to quieten the Ryde down a bit. And Martin, on HDMI cables, I wonder, actually just looking across at the HF, set up that 48-inch monitor gave me quite a bit of grief to start with, and it's a rather expensive HDMI cable that's on that, and it's also got a number of turns around one of the massive tip-on ferrites. And fortunately on top band the noise is up about the 1840 mark, so not an issue for me at the CW end of the band, but it does drift a wee bit, and it's okay on other bands. You can just about see that it's there, but isn't really a problem. As for FT8, yeah, I do it occasionally, but it doesn't float my boat, and yeah, I get bored very, very quickly. And pipe caps, yes, my pipe caps stay not with my plumbing bits and pieces, but in my box of pipe caps. There's a half-made one. So what am I doing? Yeah, find where the camera is. One that's actually made up. It's a W1GHZ. I've got various transverters and things, so all my pipe cap ends are in this box. And a little tool which enables you to accurately mark, if I could, supposedly sits on the circular thing and allows you to draw a line on 3 places, and you've got your center point marked, and that's much easier than just trying to eyeball it and finding you drilled the hole in the wrong place. So that's about it for me. I wish you all a very good evening. Good luck in the contest, those that are doing that. I'll see if I can stick my nose in at least to listen, if not to transmit, and a plan for further down the line to actually get myself. I know of a little site that's sort of quite a good takeoff for across the Irish Sea, and hopefully I'll be able to exploit that in the future. So pass it on. It's Mike, G0MJW with the group. This is GI4DOH. Good night all.
Well, for some reason I lost Richard there, and I'm not receiving myself either. And I think I know why. It's the LNB is having one of its hiccups. It happens occasionally. Okay, well, not a lot else to add, I think. Just time to say 7 threes to everyone. It was all really interesting. And yes, in terms of the Winter Hill and the Naka, the components are not necessarily all that critical, but it's not obvious to people who don't know which one is critical and which one's not. So like the resistors around the regulators, they're critical because they set the voltage. Whereas the values of things like series resistors for LEDs aren't, or pull-up resistors or pull-down resistors. So a lot of us are well versed in just, if we haven't got that part, choosing a part we can use in place. But if you haven't got the background to the circuit design, then you wouldn't know that it doesn't make the blindest bit of difference whether you put in a particular component of one type or another in practical terms. So anyway, those ferrites are designed to reduce the noise, and I think they're based on ones we used originally, and they've worked, so we've just kept with them. I don't think we've ever really done any studies as to how effective they are versus different types and different types of ferrite. But if you can't get one, a ferrite bead with a few turns of wires around it, I think would probably do just as well. The important voltage to get right is actually not the 1.1 or the 3.3 digital voltages, because they'll probably be fine anyway. It's the 3.3 analog voltage for the tuner. If that's a bit noisy, it could impact signal to noise ratio, so worth making sure that one is fitted if you've only got one of them. And the other ones just put something else in, like a short circuit, for example. I bought a lot of them, of course, so I've got quite a few. The other thing is the regulator. The 1.5 amp regulator doesn't seem to be available at the moment, and I had mine on order from DigiKey, and I've just received today an indication that it's going to be delayed by another month, and it's not going to arrive till the end of August. So if I can work out how to cancel an order, back order on DigiKey, I will. The 3 amp regulators work fine, and they seem to be available, but this is the problem with designing something with parts in it that seem to go out of date as soon as you design it. And there's a general chip shortage as well, which isn't helping. Okay, right, 7 threes everyone. Catch you all next week. Round to Dave, I think. So GKQ, G0MJW.
G0MJW and the net G8GKQ. Right, don't get confused. I meant to put this picture up last time. This was a picture I got from Colin's luxury van during the activity day we had last week. Really excellent picture received on 146 megs 333. So let's go across to that. CW, I took the Morse test in London at, I don't know what it was then, was the post office or whatever. Didn't make the grade and never looked back. The main problem with noise I had at the weekend was actually on 70 sems, but a bit on 2 meters, so I will be hunting that down a little more. But hope to see you, as many of you on as possible at the weekend, and we'll all be here next week with our Tales of Woe. Please do email into the editor, CQTV editor, any good photos from the contest, because it would be really good to have those in the next issue. So thanks for all for coming on, and see you next week. G8GKQ, closing the BATC net and leaving the frequency open. Good night.